All right, real quick, I want to make some points about using the FeedForm Editor in a sensible way. And that would be this. Maybe you want to go spin an article, like through Spin Rewriter, or maybe you're just going to use a seed article here. And you should have this kind of coding for the H1 tag, the H1 tag opening and closing, the paragraph tag, H2 tag if you have such a thing. But very often, you're starting off with an article like this. And here it is, and I just wrote a real basic article. Here's a title, first paragraph, another title, like a subtitle, like an H2 tag, then one more paragraph. Then what I do is I went one step further, of course, and seeded in the vars I wanted, okay? And I had like all the way through a var 5. And by the way, what I do for a var 5 really, just when I had a list of keywords or something like that, and I wanted to create another variation like it, but I didn't want the words to always be the same. I want them to be similar. I could paste that list in here, make it a var 5, then just take the top item off the top, cut it, paste it on the bottom, then move up the rest of the cells. And guess what? That way this and this are in slightly different orders. Same keyword stacks, but that way I can say var1 here and var5 here. And that way it doesn't sound too strange because it's too much the same. You get it? It has variability in it. Okay, so I would be using the same, whatever, 50, 100 keyword combinations. It's just that this would be in a slightly different order so the pages look right, more presentable. They're not saying the same exact keyword too many times. Okay? Anyway, here's the point. I went through and I fed those in. Okay? And just for the fun of it, let me go ahead and do this actually, just real quick. Boom. Okay. All right. Now, here's the thing I want to point out. Very often people write like this. Headline, paragraph, sub-headline maybe, and another paragraph. And you think, okay, I'm not really good at coding. All right, fine. Or maybe you are, but you don't want to have to hand type all the coding in. You don't want to go like that. And then you don't want to have to close it like that. And then you have to remember, oh yeah, paragraph, that's like this, you know, and then that means this is the ending paragraph, and then this could be like an H2, okay, and then close the H2, okay, I'm going somewhere, just give me a sec. So then paragraph, and here's the end paragraph. All right, now that was all the work that was in this case. It's it. And I just, used a few basic simple tags. I didn't put any bold tags anywhere, italicized tags anywhere. I do have a link, so I have some linkage in here. But anyway, what's my point? It's going to be this. You can use shortcuts. So if I were to just, let me see, save that actually. Don't save it and then reopen it. None of those changes were made. So here would be the shortcuts. It's up to you how you want to do this, but just to make this point so it's easier for you to write or be able to do this kind of a thing in a spinner sensibly, it could be like this. Maybe an open bracket and a closing bracket. This is going to mean open an H1 tag. This is going to mean close an H1 tag. Okay? And then for this is going to be a paragraph, which might be something like, well, whatever. I might do, if this is my header 2, I might do 2 brackets to open, 2 brackets to close. So that's for header 2s. And then the paragraph might be like 3 of these. Whoops. Ending. So 3. See, when you open a tag, it's really a different character than when you close a tag. So you have to have different characters in each case. All right, take a look. That's pretty simple. Headline 1, paragraph. Headline 2, another paragraph. Now, what that means is I could paste this into a page. I'm making that point. That could be right here, okay? I'll just put it in a different spot, though, because I have that set up for a different example. Double-click. Boom, boom. Paste. And close. Okay. And let me just make it a little easier to see. Okay. All right. That way we can make our points. Now, here's the thing. Whoops. Okay, I got it yet. All right, here's the thing. How do I convert this properly to coding? And that is what the FeedForm Editor is for anyway. So you can use shortcuts you like and then just convert them back. And so if I hit this, you'll see how this works. I set up rules. Okay, I can add and edit to my list of rules. Wow. And that says replace what with what. Okay, and that's exactly what I did. I'm going to replace this 3 opening brackets with the opening paragraph tag. Anywhere it happens, replace that with that. Then replace all the cases of it closing with a closing paragraph. And then H2 and closing H2, then H1 and closing H1. And then it just happens to be done. But I could put as many as I want in here for anything. Italicize something, bold something, whatever it is. Just be kind of careful because, you know, even brackets isn't really the best idea for this because it's going to convert all the brackets. So if I really did have brackets somewhere in my text like this, you know, if there was a case, then it would convert those two, and that would not make any sense. That would be a mistake, right? So very often what people try to do is use a combination of more than one symbol. That's why you see this kind of a thing for tokens, okay? And then closing token, all right? That is because chances are good you'll never type a bracket with a percentage sign in either combination, okay? So just to keep in mind. Now, if you know you don't have a bracket anywhere in your text, then fine, do that. But if you want to try something else, here's what you could do, Control H, just to make the point. I could replace all those brackets with squigglies. Now, squiggly brackets, right? And then all the closing brackets with closing squigglies, right? Okay. And therefore, it took care of all those cases for me. Now, why doesn't that work very well? Because if you're using, very often, if you use spinners, they use these squigglies exactly for formulating what to spin. So literally a spinner would be confused. It would think you're going to have a second var in here, you know, something else, right? Still something, okay? And you're not doing that. And so it's going to trip over what the squiggly means. So it really does come down to whatever program you're using for this kind of work. Now in Spin Rewriter, you actually want to make these things alphanumerics, because Spin Rewriter will put artificial spaces and stuff in here, and it'll just drive you a little nuts. You'll wish you didn't do it. And so let me just do this. But if I'm just simply doing this inside Excel, then I don't have that issue. I don't have these kinds of problems. But the point I want to make is this. Why did I go backwards? Why am I doing paragraph replacements first? Paragraph has 3, then the ending paragraph has 3, and then 2, and then 1. Some of you guys already catch on to that. Let's say I started with the H1 tag first. What would it do? It would make this an H1, make that a closing H1. Then it would see this, which is the same exact thing. So it would make that an H1, then that an H1, then that an H1. Because, you know, it doesn't know how to think like a human. It doesn't know what I want. Then that would be a closing H1, and closing H1 all over again, right? These 3. And then, of course, this would be H1, H1. By the time it's done, it can't do anything with H2s or paragraphs because it can't find any brackets anymore. So I'm going to the most constricting thing first, right? The thing that I can absolutely identify and deal with first. That would be the case of 3s. Then 2s will still be around. Then 1s will still be around. That's why I go paragraph, then header 2, then header 1. Okay, now you might think, what if you do want to do this in a spinner and you want to spin this inside a spinner and actually get a bunch of articles, right? Okay, well, you may as well go a step further because the spinner is going to put artificial spaces in here. That's kind of a pain. Now, that could just mean create the same thing again, Control C, because you can put more than you need, okay? Where you just put artificial spaces on your own, okay? Where you literally say, this is how it'll come out. And since I know that, you know, I can set this thing up, right? Does it have a space after that or not? I didn't look. Maybe. Did that one have a space after that or not? I don't know. Maybe. I'd have to go double check, okay? But there's another way of doing this that I think is just cleaner. Clear contents, just something that I would rather do, and that would be this. Convert these things instead. Boom, boom, boom. Let me, get back to where I was. Okay. Convert them to alphanumerics. Okay, alphanumeric then. Something I can stick into a spinner. So temporarily, I'm going to make this a word that doesn't exist. That's going to mean opening H1. So this will be like opening tag 1. And I already know what that means. That means opening an H1 tag. Okay, I am never going to type OT1 inside my article. There is no variable that would be an OT1 either. If I want to be more constricting, I could call it header1 just to be header1. Now you have an OTH1. What are the chances I'm ever going to see anything like that? Never. Not as a word, right? But it's an alphanumeric. So it will work inside spinners without confusing the spinner. So I might say OT1 just for simplicity. Then I might say, what do you think this one would be? How about closing tag 1? So it's a CT1. Get it? And then I'm going to replace this. That's like an opening tag paragraph. So it's an OTP. Get it? And this would be like a CTP. Okay. Now I'm just being careful that I don't accidentally create a real word. OT2. CT2. Now, if I think I could be creating a real word and I want to be careful about it, then I could do something more. You know, I could put like a couple of ones on the end, or I could just stick it like an ABC on the end. You know, as long as you track what it is you're doing, then you're not going to have an issue. Like CTP looks too much like a word to me. Okay. And so I might just put a number 1 at the end of it and just, you know, that's how I'm going to map it to this thing. Okay. So this would be like, how's that go again? OTP, and I guess I'll call it a number 1, OTP1, okay, and then CTP1, right? Closing tag paragraph, and then the ones just to make sure it doesn't look like some kind of normal word or acronym, okay? And then what do I have? Opening tag 2, closing tag 2, fine. Doesn't matter that it's jammed into a word? Nope. Because when we go replacing it, we're going to replace exactly that part. Okay, so it'll replace all throughout. All right, but there you go. So with that in mind, this is what I want to build into my editor, right? So now I got an OT1, you know, OT2, OTP1, and then what? CT1, CT2, CTP2. Or P1. Yep. Okay. Just as long as you get them right, or you're going to miss some, that's all. So then I'm just going to put down what they should be. This should be opening header 1, right? And that should be opening header 2. And that should be opening paragraph. And that should be closing header 1. Closing header 2. See? So you can make these lists as long as you want. And the only thing you have to do is remember to do them in the right order, top down or whatever it is. If you have like an OT1, then an OT12, you want to make sure to do the OT12s before you do the OT1s, right? Or else you got to think ahead. If you did the OT1 first, then you're going to wind up with an opening H1 tag with the number 2 right after it. Then you'll be trying to replace the opening H1 tag with the number 2 for an H2. But you run the risk of actually converting something that the cases that really was supposed to be correct. So don't do that. That's sloppy, right? Don't be sloppy. Just make sure to go with the most constricting case and then the less constricting, then the less constricting, right? Most constricting, less constricting, less constricting. And these could be in any order. It could be 3, 3, 2, 2, 1, 1 because they're different symbols. Or it could be this 3 followed by that 2 followed by that 1. And then the next one is that 3 followed by that 2 followed by that 1, right? Just as long as you replace the items appropriately so that they replace the way you want, right? But there you have it. So you can make this list work for anything you like. And this is a way of making this work with, what do I want to say? Oh, rewriters and things like that. So look. Oh, okay, let me do this again. Double click. Well, actually, first clear it. Okay, now copy this. Double click into the cell. Control V. Boom. Now, that should look good by the time I'm done. How do I run it? I just run it. I'm on the right sheet. Doesn't matter where my cursor is. It's going to run on the whole sheet. Boom. And then replace. See? All done. So this allows me to use this article, run it through something like Spin Rewriter, get like 50 articles all in one text file, and then import my article. I just put my cursor where I want and import that thing, and it'll just populate down with the right delimiter I chose. And then after that, just hit FeedForm Editor to convert all that verbiage back to normal tags all the way down. And everything is done, everything is ready. You can populate whatever, 50 web pages that way. And if you're doing it all on one website, if you haven't seen the video yet, you can hit Website Expander, and it literally takes your vertical list and makes it horizontal so that you can create page after page after page on the same website, as opposed to different websites, or in this case, different subdomains. Okay? Well, different websites or subdomains. You know, if you're going vertically, it's different domains. So it's like domain 1, domain 2, domain 3, which could be one top level domain and a bunch of add-on domains, or whatever, add-on domains. But also it does the same thing with subdomains. All right, so you'd have like one subdomain, another subdomain, another subdomain. But since this is one place, you know, one domain or one subdomain or one add-on domain, if I want to create 100 pages on it or 1,000, then I want my pages to run left to right, okay, horizontally. So I could create them vertically, import them from Spin Rewriter and everything else, and then when I have it in place and I have the other data I need for the pages in place, then I just hit Website Expander and it flips it this way and you're good to go. Produces all those pages on the site. And the other video explains that. For the T2HA Toolbar, it's the same thing. It's one of the videos that covers this T2HA Toolbar, and it talks about how the Website Expander works. Okay, I think you have the idea now for the FeedForm Editor, which is really, really cool. And all the other training is in the other videos, so I think you're good to go. All right, hope you found that interesting. Thank you. Take care.